Castle.
Hey everybody, how's it going today? Got a little bit of a different video than I normally do. A lot of times I'm just doing videos about comics and about how to make good comics, all kinds of fun things like that. But I had to make this video. I really did. After a certain point, you just get sick of the lies sometimes. In fact, that's what probably led me to where I am now as a comic creator. I got sick of the lies being told by a bunch of weird activists and leftists who were destroying our arts and censoring and canceling people. And I decided to stand up against it and to be a critic of it, to be a critic of those lies, to be a critic of those people who are causing a lot of pain and destruction in the arts and in comics. And from there, I ended up making my own books as an alternative. And what had happened? Well, what happened was people love them. I'm really good at making good comic books, and I've been able to build a business since then. And a lot of it has been done with a lot of love being put into my art, and a lot of criticism being put into things too. And within my indie sphere, if you will, a character named Eric July, who's a YouTuber, watched what people like me and many others were doing for about 7 fucking years, and then decided to launch his own comic book company based off of the rage and hatred you have for the mainstream. You should support him instead because he's going to do it better. He's going to do a better job than what the mainstream is doing. And since then, it's been a complete, bizarre, insane disaster. And it's been what I've been calling Eric July's House of Lies. Eric July's House of Lies. I can't believe I have to say that. When I think back on when I supported Eric July, I thought he was a completely different person. So recent after spending a long time pretending to ignore his haters while completely sending out his fans to attack them and attack anyone who criticizes his company, Eric July has finally decided to come out and does a live stream interview with what looks like like a failed John Lennon clone to me. He looks like a guy who sells mushrooms to middle schoolers. He looks like a guy hitchhiking to a Grateful Dead concert or something. He looks like a cult leader for a cult that no one shows up to. Just this weird guy in what looks like a wannabe cyberpunk basement that actually comes across more as a Nickelodeon TV show that got canceled mid-season. This is a guy who I really don't know much about. I don't really care because guess what? He didn't know anything about Eric July. He knows nothing about Comicsgate. He knows nothing about what's been going on. He's just was there to help Eric July lie. And that's what this video is going to be about today. I need to call out the lies. I'm going to do something else too that's going to be real fun. I'm going to count the lies and we'll see how many there are. They did about an hour, maybe an hour and a change interview. Let's get into it and see what really happened. So Eric on this live stream said this, and I quote, "I attempted to ignore it up until now, and I was like, you know what? Let's play the game." A game, he calls this. It's a cynical contest to see how many people he can mislead with a carefully spun narrative. And here's the thing. Eric July came out with a 30-minute video that's only a part 1 called Beyond the Narrative, where he's claiming that all these crazy people are making up narratives around him and that he's never really made a mistake in his comic book company. That's right. The guy who's never written a comic, who's never run a company like this or an entertainment company before or a storytelling company is telling us that he's never made a mistake and that everyone just spins stories about him. But I think it's different. I think when he's saying things like, let's play the game, I think Eric July is the one who likes to try to set the fucking narrative. I think he's the one that plays with narratives like CNN. He dictates the narrative to his fans. That way he doesn't have to own up to the truth at all. His ego can't take it, right? While Eric deals in deception, people like Dick Masterson, I think, are exposing him that he's a charlatan, he's a bully and a fraud. One side is seeking the truth, and the other side is all about lies. That's how it's going, people. That's what I've watched happen for over 2 years now. All right? So I'm going to peel back the layers of Eric's distortions in this interview, and I'm going to reveal the pattern beneath. All right? Let's count the lies, shall we? Let's see what this is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over every claim they made, and then I'm going to give my response, okay? And we'll count them as we go. Number 1, they make a little joke about this, but this is something they say all the time. No one else fulfills their comics except Eric July, and Dick Masterson's just jealous of him. I think that's absurd. Plenty of creators deliver crowdfunded books. Eric is not unique. Eric acts like he invented fulfillment of crowdfunded books. That's not a thing. It's just a way to dig at people who criticize him because he doesn't have any real digs for us because we actually fill our books too. I don't think Dick cares either about fulfilled orders. They said that Dick was mad that Eric sells books. I think he's mad at Eric for bullying and the blind loyalty it somehow inspires in fans. This was just Eric taking cheap shots at his peers in my book. Number two, Dick wrote a wall of text review for Eric July's first book called Isom. Hardly. Dick's critique had structure, paragraphs. I don't know why every time a Rippertard, including Eric July himself, reads something that I tweet or something that Dick Masterson writes, and they call it a wall of text every time it has these nice little paragraphs. It's crazy. But the critique that Eric was given by Dick sent Eric into a what is now over 2 years of freaking the fuck out. And all it was what I would call professional story coverage in Hollywood. That's something that happens every day in millions of different ways across Hollywood where people give you story coverage. Hell, some people pay to get story coverage for their scripts so they can figure out how to better their scripts. So what Dick did was not some sort of nastiness or takedown of Eric July's book. He was explaining what he could have done to make a better book. To which Eric responded by doing I don't know how long his live stream was on it. Did a live stream about it, losing his fucking mind. I'm talking screeching, cracking voice, like losing his mind over what most people, a lot of people pay to have. It wasn't an unhinged critique or review. It wasn't a wall of text. I thought it was a fair review and it pointed out real flaws in Eric's work. He just can't handle the honest feedback. Number three, we're up to three already. Eric says he gave a even keeled response and it just drove Dick nuts. I've never seen Dick angry and screaming about someone having an even keeled response. I see him laughing at Eric having a meltdown. The footage tells a different story, people. Eric has a tantrum. He screams. He hurls the N word at Dick repeatedly. He calls it a critique of your critique. I'm just critiquing your critique. It's probably one of the gayest things I've ever heard Eric July say, to be honest. Uh, Fans and creators alike saw it for what it was, guys. Eric was crumbling under criticism, and Dick laughed it off. He was delighted that Eric was proving his point that he can't take criticism. Oh, it makes me sad too. I thought Eric July was a different guy. I thought he was a different dude. I thought he was a laid back guy who loved comics. I was completely fucking wrong. We're up to number four, guys. This is the next claim that they make. Now, some of these claims were from Eric July, but some of them were from uh, the guy who looks like he gets high in the back of buses with teenagers. Okay. People claim I don't deliver. Oh, no. Number four is I wrote these down to make sure I get all of their crazy comments. Dick stormed Yellow Flash's show to yell at Eric. You can watch. First off, you could watch Eric July having a meltdown about the criticism he got from Dick, but you can also watch the show where Dick shows up and talks to Eric and even apologizes to Eric. I think twice, and Eric doesn't accept the apology. Okay, so what happened was they made up a fiction around it that Dick got on the show and screamed at him. Actually, Eric July screamed at Dick and was trying to kind of talk over him and intimidate him with all this intense stuff and was losing his mind. He was obviously emotional. And Dick was calm. He dismantled Eric's facade live on the air. He pointed out that all the people supporting him were full of shit and lying and pretending to like his book or hadn't even read his book. One of them thought that Isom could fly and Isom can't fly. So this guy didn't even read Eric's fucking book. They all looked like fools in the end when Dick was done with them. And I'm not like some big Dick Masterson fan, but I do like what the points he's making about Eric because he's making good points. These are true things, even if they're uncomfortable. Sometimes you have to swallow it down and admit it. It is what it is, right? I felt like Eric at the end looked foolish because Dick apologized to him and Eric wouldn't accept the apology and just looked like a scorned soap opera villain. He was like this. He just looked, it really revealed who Eric really was, right? Number five, Eric says that people claim that he doesn't deliver his books. I've never heard anyone say that. The gripe is that Eric had a promise to outshine mainstream comics, and then he churned out cheap, subpar books that fall flat on his lofty pledges. Do you understand? That's going to make some people criticize you when you promise one thing and give them the fucking opposite. Another claim. Number 6. We're up to 6 freaking lies from this guy. Using 3D models is just fine because Marvel does it too. The mainstream does it, so it's cool if I do it. Eric built his Rippaverse on trashing the mainstream, you guys. He said they make terrible books, and he vowed to moonwalk on the graves of comic pros. Yes, he actually made that post. Now he's hiding behind their shortcuts? Are you fucking kidding me? His hollow, lifeless 3D models mock his own mission, guys. They make what he does look like a joke. They make what he does look cheap and fake and hollow. Before Eric July ever launched Rippaverse, guess what? Comic fans were complaining about too much 3D model usage in comics. And that's what Eric gives us? What a fucking joke. We're up to number 7. Eric's critics know nothing about comics. What a fucking laugh. Some of his top critics that stir up the most shit, that make the most people angry, are comic pros telling the truth like it really is. We got pros like Ethan Van Sciver. We've got people like Shane Davis. We've got all kinds of critics. I did a criticism of Yaira that freaked people the hell out. I'm not even as pro as people like Ethan and Shane. I was never in the industry. I'm just an indie outsider, man. And even people freaked out about what I had to say. When people who actually work on comics critique Eric's work, okay, they know what they're talking about. Okay. The idea that we don't know what we're talking about is just another creepy narrative meant to trick people, meant to make people think that everyone's just big jelly of Eric, when really we wanted the best for Eric. A lot of his critics were supporters. You have to understand that. And Eric at some point does something. He crosses a line for someone. Everybody has a line. I don't care what your name is. We all have a line. And in that line, or once that line's crossed, you lose us as a friend, a customer, a supporter. It's just the way the world is. My comic is being unfairly scrutinized. Fans, it's so weird that they do that. They say that, they put everything Eric does under a microscope. Are you kidding me? Fans dissect everything they love. Comics are no exception. Eric invited this by, he was saying he would top the mainstream, and then he lost it when when he couldn't reach the standards, man. His overreactions have only fueled the microscope. Him attacking critics and sending his fans after critics has made people more critical of him. And he doesn't get that, nor does he care. Claim number 9 that ended up being untrue, that Dick only does this to chase clout and to get money, and he has nothing without Rippaverse and making fun of Rippaverse. I don't think so. I think Dick just doesn't like frauds, bad art, or bullies. And Eric checks all 3 boxes. This isn't about content, guys. It's about principle and the laughs which Eric brings to us all the time. And his books make us laugh too. They are some of the worst books ever. This guy who interviewed Eric said he likes drawing and art, and then he loves comics and design. Okay, read a couple Rippaverse books and get back to us then. Just do it. I challenge you. And then you tell me that they're good with a straight fucking face, with your bisexual lighting in your Beekman's World set. His set looks like Beekman's World, like some wild-eyed haired scientist is about to jump up and be like, "Hey kids, look what you can do with baking soda." It fucking cracks me up. All right, what's number 10? Yes, that's right. We're up to number 10. Another weird lie and another cover-up. And that's what I got sick of with Eric, is watching the lies and the lies. And this whole interview, nothing but lies. Number 10, that no one actually cares about 3D models being used. We're just faking our outrage. To that I say, fans ditch Marvel and DC over this. This was the exact trend that made a lot of people stop buying comics. As comic fans, we are art lovers. When you see hollow 3D models that make a comic look like an airplane safety pamphlet, you are out. You don't even see the point. You can't even enjoy the characters you used to love because they look like posed mannequins for some music video. It's fucking awful. Okay. We want expressive art. We love good artists who express themselves and even cheat. They'll cheat to make the body move in ways it can't really move. That just looks cool and is interesting. Look at Todd McFarlane. Anyway, Eric promised a lot of things when he launched his company. He said that we would return to the golden age where it's going to be like comics we remember loving growing up. And instead, he gave us the same lifeless shortcuts that he once decried. Eric used to criticize the mainstream, and then he was bragging about doing what they do. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. Number 11, people only hate 3D models as shortcuts. Wait, I thought they didn't care. Yeah, okay. So they end up saying something that contradicts themselves soon after. They say we hate 3D models as shortcuts, but it's okay to use them, blah, blah, blah. But then they said we didn't care about them. We care. Models just aren't efficient. They're soulless. They're flat. They're in human shells that sap comics of life, man. And I can't stand them. If you can use them to do some buildings and draw over the buildings, I don't care. But if you use them for your whole comic, like Eric does with Isom and a few other titles, I mean, you can't tell me that that's good art. It's just not. Eric then goes on to claim that he never DMCA'd Riley. And Riley's a guy that Eric tried to have arrested for making fun of him on the internet. Could you imagine that? And then when they tried to subpoena Eric to come testify in a trial, he ducked it and wouldn't show up. We'll get to that, though. We're on number 12, ladies and gentlemen. The 12th lie. Eric said he never DMCA'd Riley. However, Riley's t-shirt store says otherwise. Eric got it shut down, citing trademark. To me, that was a clear move to silence dissent. All right? That's what Eric does. He wasn't being cool about people criticizing him. He was freaking out back then all the time. Number 13, Dixon is Riley as an attack dog, and that Riley's this useful idiot. I think Riley acts alone and doesn't let anyone tell him what to do, ever. I think Riley is a troll who has his own brand of comedy, and he unleashed it on Eric. And the more Eric tried to fight him and silence him and get his stuff shut down, the more Riley fought back. And Riley ended up taping cash to Eric's window, which people tried to say was vandalism, but the cops actually told Eric it wasn't considered vandalism. He also posed with toy guns and oversized plastic scissors. He was joking about shaving Eric's hairy shoulders. That's called trolling. That's not terror. That's not stalking. That's trolling. Eric overplayed the victim card. That's what he did. That's what he did. Now we're up to number 15. Eric says he never called the cops on Riley at the meetup. They just showed up and randomly checked to see if Riley had a warrant. That's not what happened. The cops showed up and they told Riley he could stand like over here and do his little protest thing to troll Eric, which is what happened. And then later, police cam footage reveals the truth. A Rippaverse employee told the restaurant owners that Riley had a warrant, and that prompted them to check. So Eric's fingerprints are all over it. We don't know who told them. It could have been one of Eric's guys, but it was essentially the Rippaverse was trying to get Riley arrested. And they told the cops about it, which ended up getting him arrested and brought in. Eric says, I didn't issue the warrant. I just complained about threats. No one claims that Eric could issue warrants. This is a straw man. Eric loves straw men. He loves them. He fights straw men all day. I think Eric, from what I've heard, he fed the police daily emails. He exaggerated the danger to exploit new internet stalking laws that were created to protect women online. And he ended up securing a warrant against Riley. It's sad. It's sad. And then Eric will say things like, I wasn't scared. I can handle myself. I'm not scared, but I was just scared for my employees. But he told the cops, and you can look it up. It's documented. He said he was afraid. Which is it? Which is it, Eric? On to number 17. Critics only target Eric, not other bad creators. So we should be targeting other people, but we only target Eric. I think this is one that the failed John Lennon clone guy had to say. Guys, before Eric ever showed up, we criticized Marvel and DC, and Eric did too, relentlessly. We are the sphere of criticism, okay? But it turns out some critics can't take criticism themselves, and it turns out that's who Eric July is, okay? And Eric July presented Rippaverse as a fix, and he hasn't fixed anything. He hasn't changed anything. Number 18, they hate Eric because he's black and profits off of white nerd culture. That's again something that this guy, this fun host had to say. He that's his big theory. His theory is that we're racist, just like the SJWs called us back when we started things like Comicsgate and other criticisms of what they were doing. It was cancel culture. It was bad comics. It was activism in comics. They were ruining comics and they were silencing dissent. And now Eric's doing the same thing. And now we have this guy. We have a dollar store John Lennon telling us that it's a race thing. I don't think race is an issue. Fans mock Eric's dishonest wordplay when they make fun of how he talks. They mock his refusal to own his mistakes. I would say Eric is someone that it wouldn't matter what race he was. Anyone who talks the weird way Eric does, like some sort of character from a Mike Judge movie or something, like you're gonna make fun of it at some point, especially when they're doing it to disrespect you and trick you and manipulate you the way Eric does. Eric is like a fucking televangelist. He's not a legit dude, and you can tell when you hear him talk. He'll speak forever in circles just to get to like one basic point, too. It's infuriating. It's frustrating. Number 19, Dick uses henchmen to fight his battles for him. I've never seen this myself. Eric, he sicks his fans on critics and thanks them for correcting the record all the time. For years, he's done this. I have been targeted by Eric's little troglodytes, and it's kind of funny, but it does get intense. They try to rewrite who you are on the internet to make themselves feel better about the fact that all you did was say that a comic book sucked. They can't handle criticism. For Eric, they can't handle it. So that's the way Eric rolls. He tells his audience what to think. He even made that 30-minute video called Beyond the Narrative. It's Beyond the Narrative, Part 1. And it's a ridiculous video of poorly used stock footage, schizophrenic stock footage, insane shit. And he basically says, hey, point people to this if they criticize me. Point them to this video. Eric likes to set the narrative. Eric runs on narratives, not us. We've always run on the truth, and we've always run on criticism, and it ends up being right. I mean, if there was one big lesson that everyone should learn from Trump, is that he ran on truth and the other people tried to run on lies. They had the mainstream media, they had the colleges, they had social media. All these people control everything ran on pure lies. And in the end, truth won out. Truth floats to the top, baby. That's what I love about it. Number 20, Dick and Maddox's, Dick's only with Maddox's ex to get at Maddox sexually. Okay, that's what this host said. He basically said that Dick Masterson is now dating a weird Asperger's YouTuber named Maddox. He's dating his ex to get towards Maddox sexually. Maybe I shouldn't even put this on the list. It's so retarded and weird. Basically what happened was this Dick Masterson cucked Maddox. And the people who are fans of Maddox, like this guy with the bisexual lighting, the pink lighting with the blue, they see that as some sort of win for Maddox. Like when you get your girl stolen by your worst enemy, it's not a win for you. I know Maddox tried to present it as a win in those gay videos he made on Dick Masterson, which made the internet resoundingly laugh at him and mock him. But it's not a win when your girlfriend gets stolen by your enemy. Okay? Don't call that a win. Stop pretending Maddox won something because Dick Masterson has now got his ex-girlfriend pregnant. Okay? Maddox got cucked. End of story. Number 21. I wasn't served papers because the state couldn't find me. I would have testified. So Eric July was in contact with the cops every day for 2 months, but then claims they suddenly couldn't find him to serve him papers. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. All right. Riley's lawyers have proved in court that Eric dodged service, and then the judge tossed the case. Whoops. If the main star witness doesn't show, why would they even have a trial? There's no victim now. It doesn't make any sense. And Eric says he has rock star lawyers. Why didn't his rock star lawyers make sure he got in there to testify? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, number 22. I can't believe how many lies within over just an hour that this guy dropped. It's just all lies because Eric, like I said, wants to set the narrative. Number 22 is Rippaverse is thriving. Sales numbers beg to differ, my friend. Growth's a myth to prop up the dwindling fans and the hype of a sinking ship. You know, Eric July had so much hype on his hands, and he could have used that to build something way bigger than what he has now and way better books, way more fans coming to check out his books. And instead, he went the other way. You know, all the comic artists who know what they're talking about tried to steer him towards real success. And Eric instead said, no, I'm going this way. I'm going to lie. I'm going to be cheap. I'm going to go cheap art, poorly done story, no real good editing being done at Rippaverse. And I'm going to just brag about success. And that will make me successful. I'm going to fake it till I make it. Like, who is that chick? Holmes? Was her last name Holmes? Who did a fake blood machine and it never really worked, but she kept telling people it worked and lied, and she wanted to fake it till she made it. She thought they'd someday make a blood machine that actually worked. It was supposed to test your blood at home, which was going to revolutionize medicine and change everything. It was going to be this big leap in technology. But instead, her blood machines never fucking worked, but she lied to investors and got like billions of dollars and just completely lied her way through the whole fucking thing. And Eric July should watch docs on her so we can learn a lesson. You can't fake it till you make it on things like this. That's not what people mean by fake it till you make it. They usually tell you that when you're just breaking up with somebody, not when you're running a huge business. Oh, we're getting to my last lie. I've counted 23 fucking lies here, you guys. 20 fucking 3. Critics have no real gripes, just made up drama. All this stuff I just responded to are real gripes. No one made it up. There's no story who wants to take the time to make up stories about Rippaverse when the real shit they do is already so crazy and insane and weird and disrespectful to customers, which Eric said that his ethics, which he used to print in every book, and I don't know if he does anymore. He used to put this page called like, here's all ethics. Like, you give a fuck. There's 3 ethics. 2 of them aren't even ethics. One of them it's respect the customer. Every time Eric lies to you guys, he's not respecting the customer. And the idea that critics have no real gripes. Oh, really? You just misprinted a double-page spread in your Bloodruth book. Critics have no real gripes. You use 3D models and people who use filtered photographs to make art instead of just people drawing. Critics have no real gripes. Your books are poorly edited. Your stories have no motivation. All your main characters aren't real heroes. They're just kind of assholes who have money and do whatever they want, and everyone else can be damned. No real gripes. No real gripes. Well, the complaints on Rippaverse are legion, guys, and they're documented. You can read real critiques of Rippaverse stuff, and they're legit. The idea that everyone who has a problem is just making up fake problems is insane to me. That's insane. It's Eric, once again, not taking responsibility, not taking criticism, which only brings more scrutiny and criticism. He doesn't get that. I don't think he cares. He thinks he's a celebrity. Yeah, right. No one knows who the fuck he is or cares. No one cares. No one thinks that he's some big thing in comics either. It's all bullshit, okay? In fact, I've seen people who have no dog in the fight on Rippaverse, just regular comic fans online, and they call Rippaverse the anti-woke grift. Yes, that's right. You heard it here first. They don't like their books, and they see what they're doing as a grift, okay? I mean, it's not a grift to me, but it's like getting really cheap shit for your money that's just terrible quality. Which people have a right to call that a grift. I think people overuse the term grift myself, but I think Eric's faults are not fabricated. I think they are glaring and they are real, and people don't want to accept them for whatever reason. But yeah, that's it. I mean, to me, Eric July is the definition of a charlatan, okay? A charlatan is a person who speaks on things of which they have no real knowledge. They don't know what they're talking about. Eric doesn't brag about making good comics or great characters. He brags about being a good businessman. He's the master of business. And I don't think he's even good at that. What I see Eric July as is a bullshit salesman. He's good at bullshitting. Before he launched his comic universe, he bullshitted his way through pretending to know comics and being real critical. And he just wants, he just wants things to be like they used to be. And then he runs his company and has a chance to do that with all this millions of dollars people gave him. And he doesn't make it like it used to be. He doesn't know what he's doing. Okay? Now, when you're new to comics, I'm not going to stomp on you. I'm going to give you respect and kindness and try to support you, which is what I did with Eric. I thought, so what if he's new to comics and his first comic book isn't that great? He can become great. He can work towards greatness. Instead, Eric said, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm already great. I am great. Be great. That's my whole thing, is telling people to be great. And you're just like, Fuck off. So I don't know. In the end, think about this for me, okay, guys? Eric wants you to believe that though he's never written a comic book before or run a comic business, that he's made zero mistakes in the course of over 2 years, almost 3 years of making comics. Zero mistakes. Even when he misprinted Bloodruth and messed up the double page spread, he said he did it as a creative choice to be like a cinematographer and make it cinematic and like a camera pan, which makes no sense. But he said, who knows? Maybe you'll like it. Okay. No, it was a mistake. He made a mistake. He got a guy arrested for trolling him. It's not a mistake. He misprinted a double page spread. Not a mistake. He uses 3D models to make his books and saying he said he'd make better books in the mainstream. Not a mistake. Nothing is a mistake, according to Eric. Maybe just own your mistakes like a grown ass man and move on with your life. You're not going to die from it. I promise. You'll become a better creator for it. But he can't do that. He's got a glass menagerie ego. It shatters easily. So in my opinion, Eric July runs on lies. Everything he says crumbles under even the most smallest amount of scrutiny. You can research this stuff for yourself online. There's plenty of videos of him losing his fucking mind. There's plenty of videos of him falling apart all the time. In my opinion, he's a tough guy who's really pretends to be a tough guy, and he's really insecure. He's a laughing stock online now. His whole thing is, I didn't do that. I didn't say that. I never did this. I never did that. It's bullshit. So yeah, he's a charlatan. This was 23 lies because Eric July wants to rewrite the narrative around himself so he doesn't have to be as embarrassed about all the crazy shit he's done, trying to lock up your trolls. That's some lolcow shit right there, man. That's what that is. So thank you guys for tuning in and getting through all the crazy lies with me. This interview was hilarious and weird. And, the guy who did the interview has no idea what's going on. Watch this video and you tell me if what I'm saying is a narrative. None of it's a narrative. You can look up the court documents for yourself. You can see that Eric July dodged service. You can read his comics and see what they really are and be honest about them as a piece of art. You can look at Eric's responses to criticism and watch him screaming and his voice cracking like a fucking insane woman. You can look all this up. It's not that hard, okay? And you'll see the truth. I refuse to let Eric July run on narratives like he's fucking CNN or something, okay? End of story. Thanks for tuning in. I got some more videos coming for you, some more critiques of comics and other fun things. I hate to have to cover fucking dipshits like Eric July and his friend who looks like he's about to teach us kids how to do science on a Saturday morning show. I will talk to you guys later, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Von's Haunted Castle.